Hey guys, it's Jeff here with Steworks and our T-Works Community Works program. And I wanted to introduce you guys today to Joel Kaufman, who is with Recognize Good, which is one of the organizations in our community that works in the nonprofit world, and they do something really special in the nonprofit world, which is to recognize other nonprofits and people that are doing things in the community. So I really wanted to bring him on to let people know that this organization exists, how you can interact with them, and really ways that you can help to support this cause, which I think is a very worthy cause. So thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on the show.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about Recognize Good, how it got started, and
Sure.
what y'all do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in 2007 as an online gratitude platform, essentially. Okay. A little brief backstory was our founder essentially had someone that just went way out of their way to help his family one time. Okay. He felt like, he was a man of means. He didn't feel like writing a check was appropriate. A thank you felt like not enough, and he wanted to really share the good that was done to him. And so he's a creator, and so he decided, I'm gonna start this thing where people can just say thank you online. The goal of the publicity is to inspire others. If I just said, hey, thanks for having me, Jeff, or thanks for the favor you did me last week, you would feel great, but you missed the opportunity to inspire others. So that is how we started, and we've grown since then. We're now 6 signature programs that have all stayed in the line of thinking of basically good examples should be shared, because when you, first of all, there's not that much great news that you see in the day-to-day kind of cycle.
Yeah, we need to offset that with...
Absolutely, yeah, and there's a chance to educate yourself by someone else's example too, right? They can do it, I can do it. Or I thought I was, doing all this, but that person's doing 10 times more, so I've got to
go up to that level.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know I heard from Dr. Jack Allen one time talking about the criteria that y'all use, or kind of the six steps that y'all use of when you're choosing somebody in the program.
I'll briefly just touch on the program. So
exactly.
We started receiving thank yous way back when. Some of those thank yous were thanks for helping me to my car with my groceries. Some of them were thanks for 40 years of volunteering. So some of them were really setting themselves apart. And someone made the comment, I think as the story goes, wow, that person is a living legend. And so we started what we call Recognize Good Legends, which was really recognizing the servants that went above and beyond. So we've had someone that donated 40 gallons of blood over the course of his life, someone that volunteered with the Red Cross for 70 years, someone that's driven over, I think, 100,000 miles helping people. There was a therapy, a woman that started a therapy pet program. She was going to nursing homes and children's hospitals all over the state. And so from there, we also then we realized, well, we're recognizing everyday good, we're recognizing extraordinary volunteerism, and the opportunity came about. 3 of our founding board members had all received what was called the Ethics in Business Award. That was a program started by the Samaritan Center, primarily as a fundraiser, but also the spirit of recognizing great examples. Just due to being stretched thin, they weren't going to be able to continue that program, and so every one of our board members that had won the award knew how much it meant to them to be recognized for doing the right thing in their businesses. And so they essentially Recognized Good stepped in and said, we'll take this over, this needs to continue. And so you mentioned the criteria for that award. That's recognizing exemplary ethics in business. So not necessarily how much you give away, but how you run your organization, how you treat employees and customers and partners with respect and honesty and fairness, striving for justice and embracing sustainability are the other 2 kind of pillars. And then this year we added a community service criteria to that.
Yeah, which up to this point, that was not even measured as the community service part. It's just organizations that had those other 6 criteria or 5 criteria tended to do the community service piece of it.
Correct. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of overlap. And and I just found out this year, Recognize Good is removed from the award process. We collect nominations. We obviously promote and put on the big awards luncheon. But business students at Concordia University are actually the ones that vet the nominees. They score the nominees. Top 3 scores become finalists, and then they conduct a series of in-person interviews. And then they present what they found, their cases basically, to a selection panel that's made up of Leadership Austin board members and alumni, which is another great partnership. And I didn't know until this year that they actually rank those 5 criteria. Of course. That honesty counts more than justice. That respect, and then fairness, and then justice, and then sustainability, and then community service is at the bottom of that, because it is the perception being that it's easy to write a bunch of checks.
It is. Yeah.
It doesn't make you an ethical organization because you.
It's harder to be honest all the time and everything else.
Very much so.
Fantastic.
Very much so. And then so from there we realized there's these service clubs like Rotary and Lions and some of the new ones like Young Men's Service League, Bikers Against Child Abuse. These collectives they may or may not have nonprofit status, but they're basically groups of volunteers doing things together. So a service club essentially. So then we started what we call a Recognize Good Lighthouse Award.
Okay.
That was basically a big thank you to those groups that often are kind of toiling in.
In anonymity, nobody knows about it. It's exactly. So the Recognize Good, the ethics in business, it's typically for-profit businesses, but then there's also a component that recognizes nonprofits.
Correct.
That are doing exceptional things. And I remember from last year going to the event, there's also that individual, once again, that it's also.
And that was, I think when we took it over, there was business, nonprofit, and individual.
Yep.
And then we realized, well, the ethics are judged much differently at a Seton, hospital network of thousands, than a T-Works, a staff of of just a few. And so we broke it into large and small, and then a similar decision process led us to start mid-size. So the individual is an interesting one because it is what you're doing in the workforce. It's you individually, not the company values that you espouse or kind of project. It's what you're doing individually. So that one's always fascinating. The list of candidates every year is just iconic.
I only remember was sitting in the audience and going, "Oh, I wish I could do half of that."
Great examples have a tendency to inspire, right?
It's like, oh my God, this person is amazing. So how does somebody participate in the process? How do they engage with Recognize Good?
So in our Legends program, we're always looking for extraordinary examples of volunteerism. Okay. So you can go to recognizegood.org, hit the Nominate a Legend button. Doesn't have to be a long story, just give us a name, someone to talk to about that person, and then we kind of take it from there. That we realized at one point that the almost requirement of someone writing an essay about this legend was a big barrier to entry. It's like, well, we can write the article, just tell us who to talk to. Same with the Lighthouse Award, nominate a lighthouse, and they have a little bit of an application process, and then for ethics in business, nominate a business.
I remember I did that with a couple of businesses last year.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. There's not much to it. You just put in there, and it's literally that.
Yep.
Who's the business? Who do we need to speak with? What's their website? And then y'all take it from there.
Yeah.
When do you close down nominations every year?
The last day of the year.
Okay.
So nominations open the day after we award. And this year, our luncheon's on May 17th. So on May 18th, nominations will open through the end of the year. January 1st, we basically hand over a package of nominees to Concordia and let them go from there. So every nominee has a chance to accept or decline. There's a time. I mean, this is an earned award. It is not an application. Best writer wins. So they have, and we try to make that very clear that this is an earned thing. It's not not something you can buy and not something you can skillfully write your way into.
Well, and some of them, I mean, I know I've seen several of them over the last couple of years I've been involved that have been nominated. They might be nominated a year and then get nominated again, and they might finally win. But I mean, it's pretty stiff competition in that area.
It is, and I think what we try to promote is that yes, it should be competitive. You should want to be the most ethical business in Austin or in Central Texas, but it's also a chance to. It's a continual improvement process that's offered to you for free, essentially through this award vehicle. But essentially, if you think what you're doing is correct, measure it, go test it, go validate it, because we're all very good at sometimes believing what we want to believe about ourselves and painting ourselves in our best light. But I'd encourage anyone to put themselves and their organization to the test. There may be an area where you're lacking. There may be an area where you're treating people with fairness, but there's no set policy or anything in writing. Lots of times that has a lot to do with it, because that's what ends up holding people accountable. If the person that's the ethical ambassador, leaves or retires, then what do you have?
You don't have anybody there, or there's no. It's not throughout the entire culture of the firm.
Exactly.
So they can go online after the event, start to nominate. You can nominate yourself too. I would encourage you to.
Yes, exactly.
Nominate yourself and put yourself out there, and see where you fit into that. And if you get chosen as a finalist, just that alone, I think is
it has become a pretty big deal.
It's a big deal just to be nominated for the process and become a finalist. How long does that process take? Like in the business part of it, how long does that vetting process take?
We hand over the nominees 1st of January. The class, it's an actual class.
Okay.
The students basically start making phone calls the 2nd, 3rd week of January.
Nice.
To do a phone interview with all the nominees. They wrap that up. Takes about, I think, a month for them to. And of course, their classroom time is also spent talking about why is honesty more important than respect in terms of this program, et cetera. So. So the phone, the time commitment is basically 20 minutes on the phone. You become a finalist. It can be 3 or 4 hours worth of interviews with. They try to interview someone in HR, someone in the C-suite or an executive, someone on kind of the rank and file, like a new hire, a customer, and a vendor. So they're really looking at it from all sides on the business front. With the nonprofit, it's an executive, an entry level. Someone that they serve, one of their client base, and someone that maybe like a donor that supports them. So,
cool. Very nice. So how can people help? What are some things that y'all may need from a help standpoint?
I think the biggest way that we are helped is when people, not to oversimplify, when people recognize good, because it's easy to see it and think to yourself, that was nice, and then not do anything else with it. So to all your viewers, I would encourage you, please tell somebody about it. We're the easiest place to go to tell someone about it, whether it's a volunteer or service group, just any organization that's kind of doing things the right way, that's exemplifying what you want to see in our community. Let us know, because we're as big as our network is. There's so many great examples that we haven't found yet. And
a lot of times toil and anonymity. They're out there, and you just don't even know that they exist. That's why we do this sometimes, or why we do this almost every week, is to just recognize some of these groups that, my God, they're just happy if a couple people actually see them on video and that somebody knows that they exist out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it's just everyday good, we've got programs for that. We still have the online portal that started. Every thank you that comes in is posted there. So if you just want some inspiration, go to our website and scroll through the thank yous. We've got a little certificate program where if we see something that maybe doesn't meet the legendary standard but is inspiring, we'll mail them a little certificate that says, we caught you doing good, just wanted you to have some encouragement to keep it up. All of that folds into the sharing great examples and encouraging more good. We're all better when there's more good, right?
That's awesome. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate you coming out. Folks, recognizegood.org. go online, take a look at what's on there. It is very inspiring. Austin is a huge, amazing giving community. So there's a lot of good that happens out there, and it doesn't always get recognized. So recognize somebody, nominate a business, nominate an organization. If you know that they're out there and they're working hard, or they hold a special part in your heart, recognize them for that. Let them get a chance to really show that they are doing a lot of good in our community. So thank you, and thanks for coming, my friend.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.